Good afternoon. My name is Alun R, and this afternoon, at least in my time, I'm facilitating a game of well, it's my hack of my Dark Age hack of Monster of the Week, really, by Michael Sands, published by Evil Hat. The hack is called Eotenweard, which is my hack translation into Old English of Guardians Against the Monsters. This is the first of 4 sessions titled the Synhamm Alliance, and it's being run as part of the Gauntlet's online community via the Gauntlet Hangouts calendar. And if you don't know about the Gauntlet, you really should find out about it. Search Gauntlet RPG and you'll find lots of great stuff, lots of great people playing role-playing games and sharing play and experience. In terms of the concept of this game, it's set about 200 years after the legions withdrew from Britain, and at least 200 years before stuff like Bernard Cornwell's Last Kingdom books and the BBC TV series based on it, and Prime's Vikings. So we are between the end of the Roman Empire in about 400 AD and the Age of Vikings approaching the late 700s AD. What is different from those settings, those touchstones I suggested, is that the indigenous people of Britain are still mostly Celts, who were integrated into the empire, but have since fractured into a number of Celtic Christian kingdoms in the north and west of what is today in England and Wales. The south and east is dominated by a ruling class of pagan Anglo-Saxons, though we're at an interesting point where missionaries from Europe, from Rome specifically, are beginning to make inroads into southern England, the southern Saxon kingdoms, and introducing a Roman variety of Christianity. Meanwhile, what remains of Rome are the network of roads they built in various states of repair, and increasingly ruined buildings in largely deserted towns around what were legionary forts, etc. Most locals who come across these ruins believe they must have been built by giants because it's so far beyond the timber-based building skills of the current day. The supernatural world is very real to these people, whether they see it through a Christian lens of good, evil, heaven, hell, or the pagan lens of the Anglo-Saxon gods, Woden, Thunir, Frigg, Tyr, and the rest of the gang that will one day fuel a Marvel franchise. Some still cling to the old gods of pre-Roman Celtic religions, and they are often suspicious characters because they don't fit into the prevailing religious background. The aim. Now, there are some returning characters in this game who've played in the setting before, and we'll discover what's happened to them in recent months. But what all the characters know is that the Anglo-Saxon settlement of Synhamm has, after a period of uncertainty, apparently returned to some semblance of prosperity. Its Jarl, Widok, is much recovered from his recent serious illness, and things in Synhamm seem to be looking up. However, it's still threatened by a much more powerful neighbour, King Beda of Lindsey, to the northwest of the settlement, who covets Synhamm's prime trading location and has a long-standing blood feud with Widok. While the Root Monster of the Week game focuses on, a kind of Buffy style, every week a new monster, find a monster, kill a monster, this hack is intended for a greater variety of play models. In keeping with that, this series will see how the characters are involved in helping Earl Widok and his astute wife, the Lady Kaya Delvia, build an alliance against King Beda. That doesn't mean the characters aren't still expected to kill the monsters when they find them, just that they may have to do it in a more political environment than previously. In terms of the tone of this game, a lot of the tone will come from the characters and their interactions with the world as we play to find out. But this is a supernatural dark age where monsters are real, so we may well encounter some mature and horror themes, and we may well see, the fallout of this harsh dark age world. Now, for that reason, we will be playing with a set of safety tools. We'll be using lines and veils. Now, my starting point for lines that we will not cross, so we will not see on screen, is gratuitous graphic violence against children. There's a slight get out of that because one of the characters is only 12, but we'll try to do our best with that. and similarly a line that we will not cross to show sexual violence against anyone. I would just ask the players, if they look at this tab in the character keeper, they will see some space for other lines and shortly other veils. If there's anything else they want to put in as a line, put it in that space. In terms of veils, as I am often want to say, because I'm old and British, my veil will be sex. So sex may happen in the game, but we will draw a veil across it. We will not see the detail on screen. It is possible that we will see some aftermath or consequences of graphic violence against innocents, but we'll do our best to veil that as well. Now, I think all my players are familiar with the X card. The X card is a very simple tool. Basically, if any of the players are disturbed in a bad way by anything that comes up in play, they can use the X card. Now, my preferred option is that they will make a physical move, something like so, because with the best will in the world, I'm not very good at monitoring the chat, and so the best way to get my attention is to just make it very obvious. I won't ask if why the X card has been played. I may ask how far back the player wants me to roll the fiction so I can go forward and hopefully get around any difficult material they find disturbing. But yeah, you know, and don't feel you have to play it in the moment. If something happens and you mull it over, don't be afraid to play the X card and then say, oh, you know, when that happened back there, I wasn't very comfortable with that, and we'll try to find some way to make that right. Finally, like all Gauntlet games, we will have an open table policy. That doesn't just mean that in the next 3 sessions of this, it is possible we'll have a different mix of players and therefore characters, but it also means that during the game, if any of the players feels the need for any reason to take a break, just mute the mic, turn off the camera, and rejoin when they'll rejoin when they're ready. If they're ready, if they don't rejoin, that's fine. You know, this isn't a compulsory 3-hour session. And finally, the Gauntlet's inclusivity policy will operate, hopefully ensuring that we all play in a way that you know, just benefits the game, one another, and indeed the quality of the internet. So with all that in mind, then, that is the setup. That's my cats. What I'd like to do now is to ask the players to introduce themselves, maybe tell us how long they've been playing with a Gauntlet or something else they want to say, plug. I don't mind. And then just describe their character, who they are, what they look like, the playbook, and anything that they think they would like our millions of viewers to know as we start the game. Could we do that in character keeper order, with the exception of Scott, who has literally just tidying up his character keeper? So can I start, Robbie, with you?
Yes, my name is Robbie. I use the pronouns he, him. I live in Central Florida. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time, although there have been big stretches when I haven't played them, but I started playing role-playing games back when I was in early high school. I've been playing with the Gauntlet for about a year. I've also, I've been both a player and I've been a GM with the Gauntlet. I'm going to be playing a character named Tuka, using the pronouns she, her. She's from the playbook, The Commoner. She is a Celtic woman with a forgettable face, wears dirty clothes. Although if somebody were, I kind of imagine her that if somebody took a careful look at her clothes, she would see that they were well made. Not that they're expensive clothes or flashy or anything, but they're sturdy, nicely made, very serviceable clothes. But Tuka, as a commoner, doesn't always get out to the cleaners, I would imagine. So they have accumulated some layers of dirt on them. Maybe be worth saying quickly that I chose as my heroic trait the trait of trust, and my temptation is lust. So we have the rhyming pair there.
Do you want to tell us what is it in life that has revealed these, helped her understand that these are her heroic trait and her temptation?
Yeah, I came up with a very sketched out background story of, I imagine my parents had died, and I was then raised by an elderly woman in my clan who had been kind of shunned, but through that relationship, I learned to be trusting and also be trusted by others as well. And I say that my trust came to my aid while I was growing up, but it might also have rendered me susceptible to the advances of a fae spirit. And I've not encouraged this, and I've not exactly discouraged those advances. So I have that, and I kind of think that, you know, that we can leave that as something of a mystery of like what exactly this relationship is. But if you want to bring that into the play, we could possibly do that.
Yeah, I did have a question about that. I'm curious whether a fae spirit. I mean, is this a spirit that is around and occasionally influences you, and perhaps where you are feeling lusty, it is because that fae spirit is whispering in your ear? Is that how you're imagining that?
I think sometimes that may be the case. It may be sometimes the case that I have gone out at night and haven't returned until the next day. And sometimes I believe that I've had some type of relationship with that fae spirit also. Although sometimes my memory of that is a little, seems to be a little foggy as to what exactly went on at night.
That's really interesting. Right, we'll try and do something with that as we play all the next 4 sessions. Moving along, can I go to Sabine and ask her to introduce herself and her character, please? Or any pronoun.
You can use she for me. It's okay.
I really struggle, Sabine. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, that's why I say any, because you can use she, you can use he, you can use they. I don't care. I'm totally comfortable with she, because most people will use that anyway. For myself, not for my character, please, because yeah, let me start from the beginning. My name is Sabine. I use any pronouns. I am from Germany. I have been with the Gauntlet for over a year now, I think. I've played with Alun before. I've played with Alejandro before, but I have not played with Robbie. And no, I have played with Scott before, of course, but I've not played with Robbie yet. I am playing Eamon. He uses he, him pronouns. He is the monster hunter. Eamon is a pretty tall guy. He is broad-shouldered. He carries a big axe, and he has a hard face. And you can kind of see that this is not somebody you want to get into a physical tussle with. He's not a man of many words. Usually, he lets others talk and waits until something comes up that can be solved by talking, or maybe he will just loom around and stare at people menacingly. That's something he, I think, can do as well. Eamon, well, he left his family when he was quite young because there was hunger, and he was one of the elder children and could fend for himself. So he thought he would leave and let his family go on and let his younger siblings get fed. He made his way in the world by doing all kinds of jobs. He encountered a weird guy who called himself a Roman legate, who was either a con man or a ghost. He drove him out anyway because that dude was preying on people, and Eamon has a very strong sense of justice. He doesn't like people to be taken advantage of. So that's his, what is the word? That's his heroic thing? Heroic trait. And his temptation is recklessness, because Eamon might tend to overestimate his capabilities from time to time. Yes, so that's it.
Thank you. I haven't got any questions for you at this point. We'll do that when we get to the love letter. Alejandro, you are also a returning character, returning player, and with a returning character. Please tell us something about yourself and tell us about Icinius.
I have been playing with the Gauntlet since, I believe, November of 2017. So, you know, just over half a year. And I have recently taken a hiatus, only breaking my hiatus to join this game because I really enjoyed it last time and I really enjoy playing with Alun. So yeah, so I'm really excited to get back to this. And I'm excited to get back to Icinius because I felt he was a really interesting character, though I'm very disconnected from him. I forgot a lot. What I do remember is he's actually Hispanic. He's from Spain. I believe he was from Basque area Spain, but it was still, it was in the process of being Romanized. And so his family and his community were Christian, but he was having like the old gods were speaking through him, and so his family rejected him. He's a 12-year-old boy. His family rejected him and actually ended up selling him into slavery, and went and was on a slave ship that was just heading north. In the process, some of the slavers attempted to take advantage of him in some way that he did not approve of, and that is when his die ability demonstrated. And they just pretty much, when they reached Synhamm, is that how you pronounce it? Synhamm? They just booted him off the ship and just did not want to deal with him anymore. He connected with a common woman and a monster hunter, and I forgot what the other person was, and they proceeded to lift the curse on Synhamm. But actually, when we were all about to lift the curse, something happened, and I don't remember what it was, where Icinius was kind of the pivot point. Like, Icinius needed to do something in order to lift the curse, and he wasn't convinced that the town deserved, like, to be saved. Like, he was he felt, I don't remember exactly what it was. I wish I did. But he was actually not going to help lift the curse, and the curse was going to stay on the town. But then Jim's character, the commoner woman, like, convinced him into it. And so he did. And so the curse was lifted. But so Icinius's heroic trait is justice, and he really is committed to justice, both towards underdogs and the old world. His temptations are violent rage, guilt, and hallucinations, which I don't believe those really came in when we played last time. So I like the way that you switched the rules up. So that's going to be going to be forced to come in. So that's fun. So then at that point, in that previous game, he went off with the monster hunter. But given that we've got this kind of mixing of dimensions, I suppose, alternate dimensions, alternate realities, he actually went off with the swamp men, as it's read in the love letters, and I think that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that's a pretty good summary of everything that happened for a man who says he can't remember it. So good on you. Yeah, I think that the way he was left was he was not certain, I think, exactly what the old gods wanted of him. And not even certain whether he should trust them, because there were a couple of times when what was a true vision and what was an hallucination got a bit blurry. Okay, so moving on then to Scott. Do you want to tell us something about yourself and then tell us about Sitcha?
I'm Scott, and my pronouns are he, him. I've been with the Gauntlet for several months. Actually, my first game was with Alejandro back in March, I guess. I don't know. And I'm going to play slow today because you remember when you're growing up and they tell you not to grab hot things that were in the oven without an oven mitt, and you just believe them. Well, I'm the one, so I'm the control group that has tested it. And I tested very recently, and yes, hot things do actually burn you. So I've done it. You guys are okay. You don't have to do it now. I've tested it for you. And I'm playing, how is it pronounced? Sitcha?
We can pronounce it any way you like, but Sitcha would do, yeah.
Sitcha is fine. I'm playing Sitcha, and Sitcha is the loon, just like, so I'm playing me. And it's actually in real life because she is reckless, and she sees the true things in the world, and she unfortunately has seen enough true things in the world that that she and sometimes not so true, that she has stopped being able to tell the difference. So when she tells a story about when she was young or relays anything, there's always that sense that this may have a basis in truth, but that the story has not suffered because of the facts. And so she's been around quite a while. She's, I'm going to say, maybe in her 60s, long, straggly, graying and brown hair, very suspicious looking eyes, and she's not the most well off, so wears ragged clothes and refuses anytime anybody attempts to buy her or give her nicer clothes. She refuses. These clothes have been with her through thick and thin, and by golly, there are no better clothes to wear in troubles. And that's all I got so far, because I'm just kind of fitting into her. So
I noticed that you've made an initial pick for your heroic trait of generosity, and an initial pick of your temptation towards recklessness. As you know, as you play in, feel free to tinker those, and then you can tell us, maybe we'll have a flashback the first time one of those comes into play that tells us where they came from. Yeah.
Yep.
Fine.
Sounds great.
Okay, so the next thing to do, I think, is just to try to establish some connections between you. We'll do that, then we'll do love letters, then we'll probably have a short break. Yeah. So if you can check out your playbook PDF.
Is it? I don't know if this is. It seems to me that doing love letters first might help influence our relationships, but I'm not sure if that's realistic or not.
I suppose both the love letters are kind of pitched at trying to fill the gap between the previous events in this setting and the current ones. But I'm very happy to do it that way around. So let's have a look. Let's start with your love letter then, Icinius. Do you want to read that out to us? It's in the Character Keeper.
Yeah, sure. You have spent the last few months among marshmen of Synhamm Fen, trying to work out what the old gods truly want of you, and whether they can be trusted. When you return to Synhamm, roll plus soul. On a 10+, the simple beliefs of the marshmen have given you some valuable insights into the world and your place in it. 7 and 9, the marshmen have some wisdom, and a 6-, the marshmen are as confused about the old gods as you have been. In reality, I'm sure, regardless of what I roll, 6- remains true. So, All right, so here goes. 10. 10 plus also 12.
Well, so on a 10 plus, the simple beliefs of the Marshmen have given you really valuable insights into your place in the world. What effect does this have?
Well, I don't know.
Sorry, just in terms of what the move says, if you want to tell us the consequences.
Just read the move. That's a good idea. Hold 2 to spend later in the series to describe a flashback of your time among the Marshmen and ask the GM a related question without having to roll. There you go. That I do know now.
So if you want to make a note of that somewhere on your character keeper, because trust me, I will forget.
Yes, I will likely also, but I will also make a note.
Sabine, would you prefer to do the love letter now?
Yeah, I think I would, because I would like to know what Eamon has been up to.
Fine.
Okay, I'll read it. The last few months have been spent in Synhamm enjoying the Earl's gratitude. You have eaten and drunk well, and the skulls have begun to sing songs of you. Okay. Roll plus steal. I'll make them roll before, and then I'll, yeah. What's my name? Sorry. Oh, wow, okay. I've got an 11. Which is nice. Okay, so I read our Weedock still owes you a debt of honor, mark it now, and the songs the scouts are spreading across the land. What great feat does the world now know of you as a result? Note 2 holes we spent later in the series to give you advantage when you try to convince someone, as long as you can leverage this reputation. Liver gay? No, I think it's leverage. Okay.
No, it's my bad typing is what you're seeing there.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Okay, so what great deeds have they sung of me? That doesn't have to connect to the whole curse thing, right? That can be something totally different.
The wonderful thing about legends is that their connection to reality can be as thin or thick as you like.
Okay, so I guess what the skulls, or that one skull has picked off of me is when I was a bit on my cups after I lost my Falkenhawk, whatever that was. Eamon isn't really the kind of guy who sits around just drinking. He has to go out and hunt something, do something with his time, otherwise he doesn't feel like he's really useful. So in this case, there was some sort of, I think some sort of monster, big fairy boar is fine. Big fairy boar he was after, and yeah, he managed to, you couldn't slay it. Yeah, he slayed it, and then next night that thing was back again. So that wasn't very useful, but then he found out that you had to slay it with iron and fire, and he had this fire pot which is made of iron, so he burned this thing. And it vanished in a kind of an explosion of lightning and sour smell, and also the falcon vanished, which was bad enough. But it's been banished ever since. And he told the Skald about that, and the Skald was like, "Oh my God, this guy was a knight, and he faced this giant boar knight, and it's kind of almost Arthurian now." And Eamon is like, "What? That's somebody else probably."
Well, as far as the world is concerned, it's you.
Oh no. Okay.
So just put a brief summary of that somewhere in the character keeper for future reference, and remember you can leverage it twice in future to get advantage to convince people, because you are Eamon, the killer of the moonlit boar. Gosh, those were good. Right. First time I've written a love letter. I'm really pleased with those. I don't care if you are. So with that in mind, then let's now look at the relationships between you. Now, the way I'd like to do this is to, if one of you wants to look at the playbook, you will find a list on the second page that are phrased something like so-and-so, blah, 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 and then ask them so. Alejandro, can I ask you to mute again? So what I'd like to do is to ask for a volunteer to put one on the table. Then we'll see if any of the other characters want to pick that one up, and we'll go forward from there. So does anybody want to volunteer to start us by putting one to the table?
So I have an idea for one that I think kind of might apply to Eoman, but that's only because I'm linking it to the past story that I played. And I don't know how Eoman feels about that. It is blank is your oldest friend. Ask them when and how you met and give them a debt of honor. And the thing is that Aeneas doesn't really have an oldest friend, so it's well, oldest friend would be appropriate, but it doesn't mean the deepest friend. You know, so I mean, you and I, we fought the curse together, but it's kind of vague as to how that. But like, I mean, that just might be an interesting tie.
Yeah, I like that. That we fought the curse together. We can leave the details vague because I don't really remember it. You don't really remember it. We fought the curse together. It was something to do with Mithras and an amulet, and that's about it. I like it. And when you were among the marshmen and I was along hunting monsters, maybe we met every once in a while. And I was checking out if you were doing all right. Because, I mean, you're a kid and Eamon has a powerful sense of, like, justice and likes protecting people, I guess.
And so mechanically, in the character keeper, what Eamon will now do is to write Icinius's name at the character, use the drop down to select 1, and Icinius will insert Eamon and insert -1. Yeah? To show where the debt is owed. Does that make sense?
So I owe Eoman a debt.
Yes, because they are a friend, and you don't have many.
Yeah, no.
You with me? Who else would like to put one on the table?
Where do I find these?
They're on the second page of the PDF of your character keeper. So you might have to look them up. You might have to go to the shared folder and just load up the PDF.
I just have the character keeper. I don't have the folder. I'm sorry.
I'll pop a link to that in now, and then you'll be able to see it. I'm always slightly frightened that when I put that up again, all the other accesses disappear, but I think that should be okay. I hope it doesn't change what other people can see. Okay, while you're thinking about that, what about Sisha and Tuka? Do you have any you'd like to throw out there?
One that for Tuka that intrigues me because trust is my heroic trait, but one of my debts of honor has to do with suspicion. So somebody is suspicious of Tuka, but tolerates Tuka's presence. Ask them why and give them a debt of honor.
Anyone want to pick that one up?
Why would we be suspicious of Tuka? Is there anything?
Well, I think it's up to you. Ask them why. So whoever picks it up gets to tell us why they are suspicious of Tuka.
What was the second half? Could you reread that?
Yeah, it's somebody is suspicious of Tuka, but tolerates Tuka's presence. Ask them why and give them a debt of honor.
All right, I'll do that. And let's see. Why am I suspicious of you even? I mean, other than my general suspiciousness. I think I think I oversaw an interaction between yourself and someone else in the village, and from my perception, it looked like you were cheating them. However, um, that in itself wasn't enough for me to just completely blow you off, and so for that reason, I tolerate you.
So you've both got enough to put something in the in that debt of honor column, yeah? Okay.
Perhaps you feel like she needs to be watched. Just throwing that out there.
We'll play to find out.
And I would put a +1, correct, in my column, and he puts
you give him a debt of honor. Give her a debt of honor. So Sisha gets +1.
Right.
You owe the debt.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're -1 to Sisha. Who else wants to go?
I could. I have no. This is sorry. I have the relationship. Blank is related to you. Ask them how closely and give them a debt of honor. And seeing that most of us are somehow Celtic now, I think I can ask either Sisha or Tuka how we are related. I don't know who of the two of you wants to grab that up.
Either Sisha or Tuka want to pick that one up? Want to be related to Eamon and tell them how?
Come on, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, I think we are related.
Okay, so how are we related? Are you my aunt or my mother or?
I think I'm your aunt.
Cool. Yeah, you're my aunt. And I owe you a debt of honor because you're my aunt, obviously.
You have proper respect for your elders.
Of course, I do.
So Sisha will put 1 against Eamon, and Eamon will put -1 against Sisha. Okay. Who's next?
I've got one. Somebody knew me before and has helped me. Ask them what drove me to madness, and give them a debt of honor. So any takers?
Well, I'm a 12-year-old child from Spain, so I'm not sure how I could have known you from before.
But is your soul older than that?
I was wondering if maybe we could do something like that. Can you read it again?
So-and-so knew you before and has helped you. Ask them what drove you to madness and give them a debt of honor. So I suppose it could be that you've seen through the madness to like the person who was. It could be, more metaphorical.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. I have Blank thinks you're a monster, and I was kind of thinking that, but I like your end. Your end is interesting. Yeah, I can do that. So, all right. So how do we?
So the question is, what does Asinius think drove Sisha mad? And then you will get a +1 debt of honor to Sisha. So what is it that you see as driving her to madness?
Sisha was a incidental student of the old gods, of the old ways, and without the proper guidance, she just went off the deep end. Perhaps Sisha has like an existing, what we today would refer to as mental illness, but back then it wasn't, and probably some at this point in history, it's possibly something that's like revered. but yeah, so Sisha couldn't actually what am I trying to say here? Just like handle the power that was being offered her.
What do you
feel
think
about that?
I like that.
I mean, I would say that the playbook is deliberately written so that the loon has the highest value in sense. They are supposed to be a, savant of some description. So fine, yeah. You got enough to write in the box?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I have a +1 with Sisha. Yeah.
Indeed. Icinius has +1 to Sisha, Sisha -1 to Icinius. Who's next?
Do we do 1 each or 2 each?
I quite like people to have relationships with 2 other characters. I mean, I'd stretch it to 3 if you were keen, but I'd like to have 2.
I'm missing one with Tuco that I would like to know what our relationship is.
So, Tuka, what do you think? Do you want to put one on the table that you think Icinius might pick up?
Yeah, I think I have one, which would be Icinius revealed a dark truth to me. Ask them when, what, or how, and give them a debt of honor. So seems like Icinius might be the kind of character who might reveal some type of dark truth.
Yeah, whenever you look into those eyes, something dark stares back in my experience. So yeah, I'm sure that's true. Fancy that one, Icinius?
Yeah. I think that when I came out of the swamp, I feel like I am I am a tool rather than an individual. And so I have to tell you what the dark truth is.
Yes.
That I know that I came almost straight to you, and just this dirty kid out of the swamp, and says, and I told you, I am the handle, you are the blade.
Oh, there's no portent in that then. Like that one?
Yeah,
Tuka?
no, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone desperate to have another relationship, or will that do you as now?
I think the only people who don't have a relationship are Eamon and Tuka now. So what do you think, Robbie? Should we have a relationship? Or should we leave it at we don't know each other? Who is this?
No, I think a relationship would be good.
Yeah. Do you have something that fits? Or should I go? I mean, I have several that might fit.
Okay, why don't you offer one?
Okay, I'll offer one, and I can offer you Tuka was your childhood friend and help you then. Ask them why you fell out later and give them a debt of honor.
So we were childhood friends.
Yeah, probably before I left the village.
Well, I wonder if it's something, the falling out maybe had something to do with the fact, I'm a commoner, I've stayed a commoner, but maybe even in our youth, I was getting some type of premonitions that you would be known for something kind of heroic, and
Maybe I was.
that
maybe I was.
destiny was not going to be mine. That I would always have felt like I would remain just this kind of commoner with something of a kind of, I mean, I see myself as a commoner, but also just somebody who people dismiss. But I sense or got premonitions that you had a different fate.
Oh, I like that. Maybe that was the reason why I left, because you told me you seem to have a fate. And I was like, yeah, I think I have a fate. I have to go now. Bye, village. Bye. If I ever find my fate, I'll come back and rescue you, or made some sort of weird promise like that. And I haven't, because I totally forgot it when I met my first monster and my second monster, and that doesn't seem like fate. That just seems like I have to do this.
So you never came back until now?
No, of course not. I mean, I went away, and Eamon tells himself that he went away to save his family from starvation, actually. I mean, he's a commoner too. He's not nobility or anything. Or neither is he a serf, so. But maybe that has been in his mind a long time, and maybe that's why he doesn't like the scouts singing about him so much, because he doesn't really feel like that fate kind of person.
Got enough to fill in the box, and Eamon is giving Tuka a debt of honor. Yeah, okay. I think that we are pretty much ready to go then, to be honest.
I have a really quick question. I'm sorry. I have your powers, and then it's -1, so it's a hold that you have with me. Do I put anything in the box in the debt of honor, or that's just going to come up when it comes up?
No, I think it'll come up when it comes up. I think something. I'm trying to remember. I did write something. Yes. You begin. It's in the debt of honor column on your playbook. You begin play owing the font of your powers a debt of honor. What terrible thing did you refuse to do? What did your powers require of you that you did not do? If this could be some distance away, before, when you were a kid. I don't know, a kid in Spain.
It asked me to sacrifice my parents.
Yes. So if you put in your box, then I refuse to sacrifice my parents, that will just give me a prompt for later.
So I'm going to put, I refuse to sacrifice my Christian parents.
Fine. The font of your powers simply doesn't see the logic of not sacrificing Christians. What can I tell you? Okay. Any other questions before we take I think a 10-minute break for a bio break and a chance to make a cup of tea, and we'll be back here, shall we say, at 1/4 the hour?
I have one question.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Because we were about the Christian parents, so am I to understand that Icinius is pagan? And what about the others? Because I seem to remember that Eamon was at least a bit Christian. Yeah,
the default heritage is if you choose Celtic, you will tend to be Christian. The only people who really believe in the old gods among the Celts are the kind of fringe worshipper of the pagan old gods, the pagan mystic. But there is no reason why, as a Celt, you could not put Celt bracket pagan bracket if you want to. Yeah.
Celts are Christian. I mean, I'm not a historian, but that seems wrong to me. But
no, remember that the Irish were the force that Christianized the English Isles, and they were Celtic.
Yeah. So as Rome invades pagan Britannia. Rome turns Christian. Christianity spreads across the islands, so the Celts become Celtic Christians, apart from the ones who hang on to a faith in the old gods, like your very self. Yeah. So pagan Celts are thin on the ground. Certainly all the power structures are Celtic Christians. It is possible that, you know, all Saxons are by default pagans. Yeah, because they believe in Woden and all that lot. Is that okay? Okay. We drifted a bit there. Shall we say, let's make it 20 past, just so there's no rush. Okay. And then we'll kick off with a bit of framing it in 10 minutes. See you then.
See ya.
So how was Legacy this morning, Scott?
It was good. It was good. We had Kieran was in, and filled in nicely with some quick characters. Kieran had actually played before he GM'd it, but it was a good finale. The age flipped right at the end, so we got the last bit of stuff. Again, Alan, as you know, you're muted.
Was that the last one, or is there one to come?
That was it. That was the finale.
Oh, so turn the age right at the end. That's a neat trick.
Yeah, so we flipped it right at the end. So we built the wonder. We finished building the wonder. The Bennu did, and then the age turned. So Ludo was saying if he ever ran it again, he'd run it as 2 4-part 2-parters instead, which that makes a lot more sense.
I think, you know, it needs space, I think. Yeah. Okay, and we're back in the room. I would quite like to just ask a couple of questions of you all, please, about Synhamm, because Synhamm has been subject to a curse. We know the curse has been lifted, and apparently Synhamm is now in a better place. But I'm just curious, you all are at Synhamm, and I just want each of you to tell me something about Synhamm that tells you that things are better than they were. Anybody want to step up?
I think it's that people are more, I guess, relaxed a bit. They used to be very tense and suspicious, but they've lightened up a bit, and there's a bit more decoration on the houses, and people are singing more, I guess. And yeah, that weird smell that was on Synhamm when we first came there, that is gone.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Anyone else tell me something that tells you that Synhamm is in a more prosperous place or in a better place?
I think there's a distinct increase in commerce. I know that Synhamm is already a port town, you know, but there's just like this kind of revelry in this kind of new commercial endeavor.
Yeah,
you know,
so we see a bustling, the dock is bustling, and there are people selling fish off the dock or whatever. Yeah, I like that. Anything else?
I was thinking maybe we've received visits from messengers from other kingdoms, and these are unusual that it's not even kingdoms right next to us, but occasionally we've seen messengers being sent from more far, from what for our eyes would be more far-flung kingdoms that have been appearing.
Places days away. Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, no, that's very helpful. Thank you for that one. Any more, Scott?
I'm here, man. Pressing the wrong things. I got one hand. Yeah, mine. I actually adding on to Alejandra's because ours both were linked that we first came up with. A regular market day has been established, bringing those who live on the outskirts in, you know, to trade whatever goods or livestock that they have. And so there's not just a bustle at the docks, but there's just people from around, you know, come once a day.
No, I like that. Let's make it market day right now. So it's market day. Where do we see? I'm curious where we see. Let me start with Sisha. Where do we see Sisha on market day?
I'm at the market, and I am looking at I'm looking at one of the farmers who's brought in some younger chickens. I'm looking at yes, I am Sabine. Thank you. I am right-handed. I'm looking to trade for some chickens. So,
what do you have to trade?
I have some trinkets that I've put together, some jewelry, some nothing too fine or frilly, but you know, I'm like that beachside vendor who goes from beach town to beach town selling their homemade jewelry.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I dare say, is salvaged from the fens and driftwood related and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm going for the farm stands where there might be, you know, the farmer's wife or girlfriend or daughters are there and trying to, this will make you look so lovely.
No, I like that. I'm just wondering, Eamon, are you at the market or are you somewhere else?
I might be at the market because being at the Eor's house, there's always the scout hanging around waiting for more stories. I'm definitely in the market, listening to stories where there might be monsters to be found and trying to scare up some legends, to maybe even bandits, anything.
What is it that tells you that people think your aunt is odd? How do they treat her?
I think they're just kind of cautious, maybe even overly courteous, because, you know, people who are touched might bring a curse onto you, stuff like that. So they're overly cautious, but also very courteous, but also rather cautious. There's not a lot of warmth when they talk to her. They were maybe a bit afraid of her even.
Now I'm quite keen to explore the relationship between Tucker and Eamon. And I'm just wondering, because Eamon has been up at the hall being feasted and celebrated and sung about, and maybe hasn't come out into the village very often, Tucker. And is it possible this is the first time that you've seen Eamon across the market? What do you do?
Yeah, like I imagine Tuka, one of the things that Tuka has is a stout mule, and I imagine that you know, maybe on these new market days that Tuka uses the mule to help some of the kind of farmers in the area that, you know, allows, you know, helps them out by kind of loading up the mule in exchange for, you know, some of their, you know, vegetables or things that they may have growing, because my mule is, you know, sturdy, reliable pack animal. Yeah, and I imagine Eamon, maybe in the distance I've seen them, but this may be the first time where I've seen Eamon in a place where I feel like I could approach. And so, you know, I think I notice Eamon and kind of make my way over to Eamon and say, you know, Eamon, your fame is growing, just as I thought it would.
And when he turns, he is like, oh God, another fangirl. like, oh my God, no. This has happened apparently before, but when you go on, he looks at you a bit closer and he recognizes you and he goes like, my God, oh my God, is that Tuka? Is that you?
Yes, you know, I don't, I'm not surprised that you didn't recognize me immediately. I know it's been a while, and you no doubt have had other more important things on your mind than people from your past.
And you see that he understands that he has made you given you a promise, and now he feels a bit ashamed that he didn't think about it. And he says, well, Tuka, this is a pretty recent turn for the better for me, actually. I guess I kind of got lazy, comfortable. I didn't think about my past a lot in those last few months. Maybe I should have. I'm sorry.
And I think maybe, having been a childhood friend of Eamon, sees, would kind of know what Eamon liked to eat in Eamon's youth growing up. And I see some item of produce on my mule, and I take it off and toss it to Eamon. Says, "Oh, I know that you delighted in these I don't know, cabbages."
Pears, maybe.
What is it?
Pears, maybe.
Pears. Okay, so like, yeah, pear. And I say, I remember that we would enjoy these growing up. Here you go.
Wow. Well, is that from that squinting farmer's tree? Really? Actually, I seem to remember having some when he wasn't really ready to share.
Yeah, that's true. But now you see my mule Bennis, and I serve him and some of the other neighboring farmers and help them to bring some of their items to the market now that we're getting these market days regularly, which is a nice thing.
Yeah. Yes. After the curse was lifted, I think things took a turn for the better. Wow. Thank you. I will, of course, give you recompense for the peer. I mean, I wouldn't want to.
Eamon, no, you don't need to do anything of the sort. We know that you are responsible in some way for the lifting of the curse. So
I didn't do much. I just stood around and to hit some spirit, I guess.
I'd quite like at this point for Eamon to notice over Tucker's shoulder Icinius, who's just come in from first time he's been back to Synhamm, and I'd quite like to play out Icinius's declaration of a dark past for Tucker.
Yeah, so I walk up to the two, and I think that I was like on some sort of like fallen wall. I was actually like looking for Tuca, and so when the two interacted, I saw her, so I hopped off the wall, like conspicuously, like hopped off the wall and made my way to the two, and I look up at Yeoman, and I say, how is it that you know the blade? And I look to what is your name? To Tuca.
And I mean, I know you by now, and I've heard you utter prophecy before. And I say, I don't know what you're talking about, Icinius, but good to see you. And this is my old friend Tuca. Tuca, this is Icinius. So, yes.
I take you by the hand, Tuca, and I say like I have seen some future, and I know that you are the blade, and I am the handle, and together we will act. And then I take Eoman by the hand, and I say, "This is good."
And I think, Tuca's, I think, baffled by this and says, I think you must have the two of us," pointing to Eamon, "you must have the two of us mistaken. I'm simply a common woman. You call me the blade. I have a little modest knife that I carry and say, okay, this is my blade. But if by blade you mean somebody equipped to fight and to deal with monsters and dangers of that sort, that is not me.
Perhaps you are a blade to spread butter. I am not sure, but together we'll figure it out.
I'm quite interested what Sisha does when passing through the market as she does. She sees her nephew Eamon and perhaps overhears that exchange about blade and handler. Or not, Sisha.
I think I take it in. So taking it in, I approach and I'd actually wanted to go any further. Have you seen the chickens today at the market? They're just wonderful. Oh, Icinius. Hello.
Hello, Sisha.
You're looking well.
I'm sure that's not true.
Well, compared to me.
Yeah.
So, what brings you to the market today?
The blade. And I look back up at Tuka.
I don't know really what this young lad is talking about. He's referred to me as the blade, but you know, I'm simply somebody who's trying to help out some farmers in the area. I know little about use of the blade, except for, you know, trivial domestic tasks.
Is not the hoe a blade? Is not the scythe a blade? Is not the sickle a blade?
Oh, sure, tools that. But usually, when we think of blades, we're thinking about warriors, people like Eamon. You know, people who are going off and doing great heroic deeds.
You remember my aunt Cecilia Tuka, don't you?
Yes, I know Sisha not well, but we've met before.
And I think that's the point when people scatter as a horseman clatters through the market towards the great hall with someone clinging on behind him. What do you do?
What's he clinging on, like he's wounded, or just like he's riding very fast?
The rider looks like he's been roughed up, but the one behind looks like he's hanging on for grim death. And Eamon, being sharp-eyed in this kind of thing, will probably see that there is a blood stain down one side of his tunic.
Seems to be there might be business for someone like me, ladies. Yeah, Icinius, will you excuse me? I'm talking too much. I'm just, Eamon isn't talking that much. So I'm like, excuse me, I think I want to see that. And then Eamon's off after these guys.
I grab a pear from the mule and follow Eamon.
Tuka, do you know? Are you trying to do that surreptitiously, or just in the?
No,
open?
I grab the pear and head off.
Okay, Sisha and Tuka, do you want to do anything?
I think if I saw him grabbing the pear, I probably, seeing that it you know, I don't know that I would say anything. I wouldn't really take offense. He's a boy, and that's what the kind of thing that a boy might do.
And clearly weak-witted.
And we haven't. Do we know who the have I seen the writer or the person kind of clinging on to them before?
I think you will recognize the rider as one of Earl Widdock's Saxon warriors.
Yeah, I think what Tuka would do at this point is find somebody in the market who I know to look after my mule, and I would try to see if I could make my way over to the hall.
If you look at the Places and Faces tabs, you'll find Meneda the alewife, who everyone likes and is unremittingly pleasant to all. So we'll assume that you leave Bennis the mule with her and head off towards the Great Hall. Sisha, any plans? I love to say this, but you're muted.
I just want to make you feel at home, Alan. I have no business with the Earl, so I'm going to wait outside for my niece to hear what news comes from this calamity.
Fine. Nephew, yes, nephew. So Eamon took off first, swiftly followed by Asinius. There's a bit of a pause, then Tuka. So Eamon, you know the procedure at the Great Hall. You deposit your weapons with the doorkeeper, and you're ushered into the Great Hall. And I think probably Asinius is known at the hall, and so he just gets in on your coattails. I think when Tuka gets to the gatekeeper, the doorkeeper, there's a kind of old-fashioned look from this grizzled Saxon who says, "And what do you want, girl?"
I mean, Tuka says, "Well, everybody's in the market saw who had ridden through the market, and there obviously is news of importance for the village that is happening."
The village gets the news that the Earl chooses to give it. Now, what's your business?
Are there any other villagers who are also kind of intrigued by what's going on, or are they all just...
The difference between all the other villagers and you is that they know their place.
Right.
You, though, are clearly an exceptional individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you believe that there's stuff that the village ought to know. The question is, how are you going to get past him?
I will say, look, the hall is big. There certainly is room for somebody from the village to look on and hear what is going on. I don't need to participate, but I'm curious, and other villagers are curious as to what has happened.
I think you're trying to convince him, and there is a move for convince someone, but you give someone a reason why they should do as you ask. And the reason that I'm hearing is that they ought to let the village know, and there ought to be a representative of the village present. Or have you got a different lever you want to pull?
I mean, I think I'm definitely pulling that lever, and I think also I think to some extent I would also go for sympathy. I see that when I go to the market with Bennis, people would know that I especially have been helping out older villagers who can't even come to the marketplace. Some of them because they are too frail or ailing sometimes, right? Maybe I have developed some type of reputation as somebody who, and it's like, well, if it's true that maybe somebody is going to announce to these villagers who can actually make it to the marketplace, but I serve people on the outskirts of the village, many of whom who can't come here.
Okay, I think that triggers the move. So when you give someone a reason why they should do as you ask, roll plus subtle, unless you have a special move that you'd like to activate instead.
No, I think the convince someone is the move. So
just because I'm interested to see the combination, you do have a move that says whenever you impetuously charge into immediate danger, choose 2.
yeah,
Because it's not beyond him to give you a beating on a 6-. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, I think right now it would be more of trying to convince him. And let me just make sure. So I rolled an 8 and I have +2 subtle, so I get a 10.
Fine. Then he kind of looks at you appraisingly, and you can see him thinking, yes, perhaps, yeah, the Earl always tells us we should treat the Celts decently. So, okay, you can go in, but you stay quiet at the back of the room.
Nobody will even see that I am there.
Okay.
I will stay in the shadow.
And the hall is what was the barrel vaulted barracks of what was a Roman fort. And there are tables arranged around this space. It's artificially lit because the windows are small, high, and shuttered to keep the breeze out. There's a long fire pit in the middle of the room, creating a smoky atmosphere. And there are some Saxons, warriors or those that owe Widdock loyalty scattered around the hall. And at the top of the hall, there's a slightly raised platform with curtains behind it. And on that platform is a large seat in which an old man sits, and next to him a younger woman in late middle age. And you can see the pictures of the Lady of Widdock, the Lady of Synhamm, Kaya Delvia, and Eol Widdock. Alongside them, sitting on the platform, is the presumed heir, Sabbat. The priest of Woden is present, Aelnoth, the priest. And I think, Eamon, tell me where you go. Given your situation, given your position in Synhamm, where do you sit in the hall?
I sit wherever the Earl tells me to, because usually I sit next to this damn skald. But he's not here, so that's fantastic news.
That's true. He's off spreading the word.
Oh no!
So you sit in one of the tables near the platform, and I'm just assuming Icinius will just perch beside you. But far be it for me to predict what Icinius will do.
I won't sit because there is a guy on a horse who's wounded. I want to see what's going on. I'm not going to sit down if there are people who might need help.
You will have passed the horse outside the hall, but on the table where you would normally sit is a man laid out, while another man kneels. The one who is riding is kneeling in front of Widdock, apparently telling him stuff. But the wounded man is laid out on the table.
Then
what do you want to
do? Then I go to the table. That's okay.
What do you want to do?
I want to look at his wounds. Was that a monster? Was that a man? And maybe I don't know, can I help him in any way?
You could always face danger to treat a wound, but it looks like there's the stub of an arrow in his right hand side, and Aelnoth the priest is ministering to him. What do you want to do, Icinius? What do you want to do?
So I come up and I just stand on one of the benches, so that I'm can kind of look down on top of the body, just right next to the table. Yes, close to Eamon. And I am reading the room. I'm otherworldly reading the room, reading specifically this person, and yeah. So you're muted.
I will aim for everyone to say that at least once in the next hour, just so you know.
Yeah.
So, Isenius, you are going to look about you, but looking about you for you involves, as I remember, your eyes rolling back in your head and you looking into the other world as well as this one. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to tell us about that other world move, just so the other players and you get and our audience know what you're doing?
When you look about you, roll with advantage as you can see and communicate with the spirits that infest the world, and they tell you what they know. So yeah, so I kind of my eyes roll back into my head. I brace myself, like I grab Eoman's shoulder just so I don't fall off the bench because my eyes are gone. And I'm seeing like everything that's going on, but there's this kind of like ethereal, like shadow cast over everything, and I can hear like just kind of random whispers just kind of passing through my head, and like I can almost see the whispers and stuff like that. And so I focus on the threads that are emanating from the ailing person.
Okay, so roll to look about you, which is roll plus sense, but you are rolling 3 dice and taking the top 2, or rolling 2 dice and re-rolling the bottom 1. Take your pick.
All right, hold on. I didn't roll those. So the top 2, yeah. So 13, because it's. Oh wait, what's it on? Steel.
Look about you is sense.
Oh, it's sense. Yeah, so 12.
So plenty then. So on a 12 with look about you, when you look around the scene and consider the risks, opportunities, or clues, roll plus sense. On a 10 plus hold 2, ask the GM, spend holds to ask the GM about the location or situation, someone or something in the scene, what might have happened, might happen here, or choose to add a detail to the scene that changes or enriches the fiction, or ask the GM to do so. So you've got 2 holds. What do you want to know?
So the first one is, what, beyond being struck by an arrow, what happened, beyond the obvious, what happened to this, like what is this individual involved with?
The spirit of the arrow, of the wood in the arrow, you see the spirit has been handled by Saxons, and so this is a Saxon arrow. What do you want your second hold for?
Can I hold that for now?
You can.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm still like in this state as I whisper to Eoman, this is a Saxon arrow.
Eoman,
Okay.
what are you doing?
I think, okay, Saxon arrow is not good. I'll ask Elos because he's been here. I mean, he's been here longer. I'm asking him what's going on.
I think probably at the point where you're about to ask that question, the man who's kneeling in front of the Earl, you hear him say, "Lord, we were certainly on our lands. They came onto our lands, and therefore onto your lands. Serduk here was simply sitting outside his cottage and his hall, and the arrow came out of nowhere. We searched the edge of the woods where it might have come from, but found nothing. But this has got to be Lindsey. This has got to be King Beda. He shows you disrespect, Lord."
Wait, and I'm asking of Alice, wait, that was just one arrow coming out of nowhere, hitting this guy, and that was that. Huh, was weird.
What does Tuka make of this? Because, you know, it's not an enormous room and it's not packed with people talking. So you can see what's going on. You can hear what's going on. You can't hear Icinius whispering to Eamon, but, you know, you can get a gist of events.
Yeah, so I think what Tuka does when she gets in the hall is she kind of stays on the periphery in kind of in the shadows, but tries to kind of get positioned where you know, she can see and as best as possible from the periphery hear what's going on. Does this person who's addressing the Earl I mean, it sounds like a bizarre thing. Like, you know, just a random attack sounds kind of strange, I think, to Tuka. Does the person who's relaying this message, I mean, I guess, I mean, I'm kind of curious as to whether he's sincere, that whether this seems like actually genuine. I mean, I do have a soul move that would help me to assess that.
Before you trigger that, let me tell you that the soul moves are powerful. And in order to activate one, you have to either sacrifice a point of harm or sacrifice a point of fate.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you can't do it. I just want you to know that mechanically that's what you'll need to do.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to do it right now, but I mean, just kind of looking at him, does anything strike me as out of the ordinary about him? And as he's relaying this, it seems.
Well, I mean, it's out of the ordinary. I think you might even know the farm he's talking about. Mm-hmm. It's on the far northwestern edge of the Synhamm lands. Most of Synhamm lands is fenland, but there's a fringe of fertile farmland to the northwest, and that's the border with the land of King Beda of Lindsey, who everybody knows covets Synhamm. So this is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will just ask, because I'm not a subtle guy. So I'll ask about after the kneeling guy. Did they saw his assailants? Did they take anything, steal anything?
No, they simply tempt us.
They simply came, shot this guy here, and then they went away.
They've been grazing cattle on the edge of our lands for a long time, but now it's turned serious. They're trying to intimidate us.
Oh, okay.
What will you do, Lord? He says to Widdock, and you see Widdock. I will think on this.
Well, I could go and take a look.
I say you think too much.
Be a bit careful, Icinius. You're still in your otherworldly trance, so you can spend that hold and pop out now, or you can stay in trance.
So yeah, so I don't like that he said that. I mean, there's distinct fear of hesitation. So now I'm going to read him. I want to hold like to him and see.
Spend the hold. Ask the question.
Yeah. So, well, the question is, what might happen? What might someone? I don't really know what question. I'm like, what is his hesitation? What is his fear in this BD Earl situation?
I think his hesitation.
So, let me ask real quick. So, BD's the king. This is an earl, so he's beneath the king.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Widdock pays tribute to Beda, but we know that Beda wants all of Synhamm, not just the tribute. Yeah. And And I think that what you see around Widdock, you can almost see his spirit. You can see what that spirit fears. And what you can see is a battlefield with his warriors overwhelmed by the greater forces of Beda. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do say, I come out of this and I do say, you think too much, Earl. And I look at Eoman and I say, we cannot fear our destinies. But I'm speaking to the Earl as I'm looking at Eoman.
I think probably the hall goes quiet. We'll cut and go to the marketplace. Because in the market, because nobody notices servants coming and going. And so as soon as some servant has come out of the hall, they've scurried to the marketplace and everybody's talking about Beda's coming, King Beda's coming. It started again. What do you make of that, Sisha?
I grab one of the people whispering it. Where have you heard this?
She told me she's a servant. She's come to warn people. I'm going to go and pack my bags now. And she scurries off. And the market is thinning out. People are packing up stalls. I think probably Meneda, the aid wife, is looking at the donkey and thinking, is she going to come and get this? So yeah, there is a low level of panic.
So I'm going to a low level of panic, huh? I will start to the handful of people around me, say, the Earl has kept us safe even through this curse. This king will not invade us. We shall be safe. No need to panic. It is in panicking that we weaken our Earl.
And people are kind of, they're looking at you. Are you going to climb up on something?
Yeah.
So you clamber up on one of the stalls and start addressing the crowd?
Yep. In crazy voice fashion.
And I think you may have just triggered see it all fits together, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I quite like to see you roll, and then we'll role play how well that goes.
Get a roll plus sense. Do you have a roll for your party?
I do. There it is.
Two yellow. 11.
I have serious concerns for roll for my party at the moment. It seems every game I've played in the last week as referee or player, failure is not on the table. Okay, so when you convince someone using your powers of argument, roll plus sensitive subtle, and the move says that on 10 plus, they agree. And there's a kind of, oh yeah, Sisha, she knows stuff. She's a bit touched, but she knows stuff. And I think the market, there's a degree to which the market resets. Some people have already gone, but I think it probably will close early today, but not in panic. People have gone away thinking, yeah, actually, she's talking sense. It was worse than this a month or two ago. And we, it didn't happen then. And this is just one guy on a horse.
Right. Yeah. And I pepper, my reasoning with not only, how the king ushered us through the curse, but that time that he fought off single-handedly 4 giants, and the time that, he brought all the firstborn babies back to life. And But I have such passion as I'm saying this that those who even know better are like, yes, our Earl is a great leader.
Yeah, and people who've never heard of the giants thinking, yeah, I remember the giants. Yeah, my mother told me about the giants. And I think once things have calmed down, I think Father Humlocutus, the parish priest, will come and help you down and say, well done, my sister. That was something that needed saying. We mustn't allow circumstances to overwhelm us again. We must stay true and believe that faith in the Lord will see us through. And he'll help you down off the stall and offer to buy you a cup of ale.
Why, thank you. I had hoped to see you while I was here. I had hoped to talk to you about, well, about my doubts.
Speak on, sister.
Or just, I don't see why God would make me see all these things. It set me apart. As I've gotten older, I'm more aware of how much it set me apart.
Just for my, are you a regular attender at his church?
Probably not. Probably
That's
not.
all I need. Because I think his response will be, well, Sisha, were you to attend services every Sunday, then your place in the world and God's plan for you would be clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Father, for such great wisdom and enlightenment. It is these leadership traits that we look towards you for.
Anyone looking at the Character Keeper tab, which has a picture of Father Humlocutus, may want to take that sense of leadership with a pinch of salt. But he is an honest plain faith, even if he's profoundly ugly. And he'll happily talk you through. He'll start citing some psalms at you. He'll give you a couple of Old Testament chapters and quote some stuff at you. Because though he can read, he knows most of it. He's committed most of it to memory. Does that help, Sisha?
It does. It does. It does. It sounds like we may have need of our belief if this is indeed a portend of things to come. We shall know more as it moves with less from rumor into actual truth.
Do you want to do anything else with that scene?
I don't think I did want to actually interact with him, so I'm glad that you pulled him in, because that's. So.
Then I think I'll cut back to that silence when this boy, this scruffy, dirty boy who's just emerged from the marsh after a month or so, chooses to address, it appears, the Earl. And it is not the Earl who responds, but his wife, the Lady Kyadelvia. And she has a stick and she bangs it on the ground and says, "Clear the hall!" And then points at Icinius and Eamon, "Not you." And the wounded soldier is carried to the back of the hall where Tuka, what do you want to do? There's a wounded warrior being taken to the back of the hall for treatment.
In the hall, in terms of, are there people who, some people who are just serving and kind of in charge of? Yeah, I mean, I think
they are invisible, and it wouldn't be difficult to disappear in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what Tuka will do is, when the order to clear the hall is given, I take that to mean, oh, I'll just join the servants and help with clearing the hall, which conveniently, I grab some of the, discarded food and things like that and kind of just file in with the servants to try to make my way back further into the hall.
I think I am going to make you face danger, not because I think that someone's going to assault you or anything, but I am just curious whether this goes as smoothly as you'd like it to.
Okay. And one of us has to fail sometime, so let's see. No, it's not going to be me, though. I rolled an 11 on that. So I did 10 plus 1 for my steel, which is 11.
Then you just merge in. You pick up a cloth, put it over your arm, pick up a jug, and start pouring ale at the front of the hall. Yeah, not a problem. Eamon, I think, will notice you. Eamon, do you want to do anything with this information, or just let it slide?
I will let it slide. We have bigger. I will turn to Icinius and say, "Now we've done it."
I just smiled back at him.
Yeah, well, I will stand a bit in front of you and make myself as tall as I can, so it becomes apparent that you are under my protection.
What I'm inclined to do is, because that hour is rather flown by, I'd quite like to have a 5-minute bio break while we contemplate what's going to happen to you for such outright declaring yourself like that in front of the Earl. So you're going to stand outside the head teacher's office for a little while we have a bio break. Back in 5. See you then. Yeah, we need that. We need that. In fact, I should in future ensure every player comes with one of those, preferably on a little stick.
Does it make them backwards though?
No, it works. No, it works from my end.
I didn't know if it ever flipped the video.
Okay, so we're back in the hall. It has cleared. There are 2 or 3 of Widdock's most senior thanes, his those higher landowners. There's his son, his wife, Eotenweard the priest, and I think probably just before we kick off the rest of that little bit of scene, you're in the marketplace, Sisha, with Father Humlocutus, and a Saxon warrior comes up to Humlocutus and says, "You're wanted in the hall." And Humlocutus says, "You see, daughter, God moves in mysterious ways. Come, see the Lord's action. See the Lord work his wonders. I, a Christian priest, called to the hall of a Saxon lord."
And I do my best to look impressed.
And so I think just before, as the hall is being cleared, ushered in at the back will be Humlocutus and Sisha. And I think as soon as Caerdelvia sees Humlocutus, she'll call him forward, and he'll whisper to Sisha, "Stay by that pillar over there, so you may listen to the words and understand the power of God." And it's Caerdelvia who addresses those of you, again, oblivious to the servants. And she says, "This is the most heinous of King Beda's trespasses. We know that he raised his warband, hoping that the Earl would be unable to resist him, cursed as he was, perhaps by the action of the pagan Beda." And you can see Eotenweard kind of bristles a bit at this because he's a pagan too, and so is Widdock. But and Caerdelvia turns to her husband. She says, "We can wait no longer, husband. We must act." And oh, I don't know, my dear. This is serious. Were it to go wrong?
Perhaps it would not go wrong if you stop denying the old gods.
Maybe this is a discussion better served another time. I think we need more information. This is a weird thing that happened here. Just one arrow, nothing taken.
A Saxon arrow.
So there are almost Saxons around here.
There are good Saxons, says Caerdelvia, and there are bad Saxons. You and your people live well under a good Saxon, gesturing to her husband. Beda would have you off your lands and in chains.
I can only offer to go investigate. If you want me to kind of fight people, I will do that, but I'm better at fighting monsters than being a soldier in an army.
And Caerdelvia sits back on this high seat, and there's a slight smile. And she looks at her husband and says, "You see, I told you." Eamon, we do have a task for you.
Yes, okay.
We need allies. And the village will have seen riders coming and going. We have, through the good offices of Father Humlocutus here, opened negotiations with a neighboring kingdom. Now we need to take that to the next step. We must send an emissary with an offer of alliance.
You want me?
Eamon, will be that emissary.
See, you're good for something.
Thank you. I am honored. Okay.
Don't think this does not have something to do with your exploits. Some of them may be true, but we hope that that King Surteric of Elmet believes the tales told of you, and therefore that your words will carry weight with him.
What do you mean some of them might be true?
I do not wish to cause you to blush, Eamon, but you have become famous.
Yeah, okay. You mean the Scout's tales? Oh, okay. That, okay. Yeah.
Whatever the truth, the world believes that Eamon Boarkiller is a power.
I killed that.
Oh, you just dropped out then. Sabine, do you want to say that again?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Eamon is just mumbling in his beard, like, I killed that boar. Though. Really did. It's not just a legend.
What you must do is carry the words of my Lord Widdock to King Surteric of Elmet.
Cool.
The fact that you are a Celt will play well, for Elmet is a Celtic kingdom.
Good.
Do you agree?
Sure. Yes.
And she says to Elnoth and Widdock and Sabbath, he will need, we'll need to dress him better, and we'll need to make sure he goes with some kind of servant. Do you have any suggestions, Eamon?
The blade. Take the blade.
Yeah. I have some people I might want to take, I guess. My yeah, and I'll take Icenius. He sees much.
Yes, it's only what he sees that keeps his tongue in his head.
I'm not the blade. Take the blade. I'm the handle.
Yes, but the blade is no use without the handle. Can't believe I said that.
What is this of blades and handles? Says Caradelvia.
Forgive my young friend here. He's a bit touched by the
He
gods.
talks in riddles. He talks in riddles.
Yes, he does. He's young.
So who will you take as an entourage?
I'll look around and see if I can see Tuka or somebody who looks like I want them by my side.
Your aunt is,
my aunt.
At the back of the room.
Oh, I will take my aunt, and I will take this. I think I see Tuka because if she's with the servants, I might see her, right? And I will think if that is, I will take her. I'll point to Tuka. I won't ask now. I want to be decisive. It's too much talking.
I think that it's good that you choose to take Celts. You must make sure that King Surteric understands that you are Celts and you live happily under Earl Widdock. You must make him understand that though the Earl is a Saxon, he treats his Celts well.
Yeah. Okay.
I think probably we'll cut that scene, and perhaps we see the four of you in the lean-to outside Meneda the alewife's barn.
I need an ale now, or two.
Contemplating what you've got yourself into.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry I just volunteered all of you, but I am the wrong person for that kind of job.
That is stupid.
Yes, that's one part of it.
No. What you just said is stupid. And I take a swig of ale.
For some, well, you're 12. You are old enough for communion. You can drink ale, so that's fine. Yeah, I'm not a great talker. You need a diplomat or a scout or somebody like that, not someone like me who usually stumble over my tongue.
I wouldn't fret as much as you are about your ability to speak. Your reputation will certainly make up for many stumbles of the tongue. I think that Eamon, you need to realize that you are becoming you are coming to fulfill your destiny that I kind of saw so many years back, and I think that there's much wisdom in having you head up this trip to another Celtic kingdom.
Eamon takes a deep, deep draught of ale at that.
You can, nephew, you can neither fail or succeed if you do not try.
Yeah, okay. That, I'm inebriated now. That sounds wise.
I'm just curious what Tuka thinks, because all her life she's wanted to get out of the village, so to speak. What's going through Tuka's mind right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tuka is definitely looking on this as an opportunity. Now, granted, it may be in the kind of wake of Eamon's kind of notoriety, and that doesn't necessarily sit entirely well with her, because she feels like, you know, Eamon has kind of fallen away from their childhood bond. But definitely, you know, this does seem like a kind of dazzling opportunity to kind of travel beyond the village to what seems like such a distant place, to see what is there.
And it will take you more than a week to get there. Icinius, what are you thinking at this point?
How interesting it is for all of these lost people to be sent somewhere. And I actually say that out loud. I say, we're all lost. This will be an interesting journey.
Does anybody else want to do anything else with this scene? Because though we have 30 minutes to go, I kind of feel that we're approaching a natural break.
I don't have anything else for this scene that would be dramatically interesting.
No, neither do I. I mean, I think Eamon is out of words. Oh, he will ask if any one of you can read, because he can.
I somehow doubt it.
Just numbers.
Readings for the foolish.
How can you trust words once they've been put on paper?
Well, then I think probably we cut at the end of this episode to all of you boarding flat-bottomed boats to be taken off across Synhamm Fen to the west, and to an adventure beyond the bounds of human imagination for at least two of you, or maybe just one. And that's where we'll pick up next time.
I'm just curious that they put me into new clothes.
I think, you know, where it says worn clothes in your description, I think if you put a bracket after that, and high quality when needed bracket.
Okay, fine. Great.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to force you to travel in your best clothes, but when you're presented to King Sertoric, perhaps they might come in handy. Yeah, and of course, Bennis the mule is coming too as your pack animal. And Sisha is probably collecting together all the necessary supplies you will need. Is there any particular preparation that you want to make before you get on those flat bottom boats?
Does anybody of you know anything about this kingdom? Do I know anything? Because I mean, I've been a traveling monster hunter for a while, so I might have been there before.
Yes. Elmit is a Christian kingdom to the, it's beyond the kingdom of Lindsey. So if you think of King Beda's kingdom is between you, Synhamm, and Elmit. And Elmit in turn is sandwiched between two really large Saxon kingdoms. If between now and next week you check out the Synhamm and neighbours, there is a regional map that will give you some kind of geography sense. And Eamon, you will have been given instructions in the sense of the flat bottom boats will take you as far as Ermine Street. You'll go cross country to the Fosse Way. You'll then follow the River Idle to Daynham into Elmeet to once you're in Elmeet, there's supposed to be someone going to rendezvous with you and guide you the last way to the royal villa at Verbea. But we'll deal with all of that next time. Okay? And I will ask you again at the start of next session if there's anything that you particularly want to do before you step off the boat, even if we do it as a flashback. Okay? And with that, I think we'll tie up this session. I would like to just have a quick canter down stars and wishes, or stars and thorns, whatever you want to do. I'm quite interested in what any positive comments, negative comments. You can have negative comments about the system and me, but not about one another. And any wishes, particularly that you'd like to look to crop up next week if we can manage it. So, can I take it in the order of the character keeper, starting on the left-hand side? Robbie, any stars or thorns, and any wishes for next time?
Yeah, I think the system right now seems very easy to, for me at least, to kind of get my teeth into it. Yeah, I mean, I think with the kind of scenes that were framed up, that you know, it was not difficult for me to kind of get into the kind of mechanics of it, and also get into the kind of narrative that was developing from it. And I like the way, I mean, even though mechanically we haven't really activated the debts of honor, I think we, in terms of the role playing, that we are kind of leveraging those debts of honor for kind of developing the kind of character relationships. So I think that that's going well. It'll be nice to maybe see in the next session those debts of honor actually maybe coming into kind of some type of mechanical play as well.
Okay, thanks for that. Going down the line, Scott, stars, thorns, roses, thorns, wishes, take your pick.
Star for the setting. Really like it. Very unique for what I've played before. And star for, I want to give a star to, I'm going to give it to Alejandro. I like the way he played the character. I wasn't in on the first segment of this game, but I really, really liked what I saw. Wishes is, yeah, just actually, I kind of echo what I heard from Robbie. So, and for me not to have a bandage on my hand.
Yes, yeah. That's a wish I think we'd all share. No, thank you for that. Sabine, thorns, roses, wishes.
Stars. I will give out stars because I like stars, and I will give stars to everybody because I can. I like the setting. I've liked it before. I like it now. I like the idea of Eamon being a rather reluctant folk hero or something, or legend or something. I also loved. I have to check the names. And no. I like Alejandro's character. I'm sorry. I've closed the character keeper already. But I liked him, and he was weird enough, but still grounded enough to really be kind of interesting. And I liked my aunt Sisha. She was amazing. She was really, really, for a loon, she was pretty much in control of what she was doing. I like that. And my old friend Tuka, yes, please, I want more Tuka. She is amazing. And my wishes is, yes, I want to have more scenes with the other characters, and I want to be. I want to be. I don't know. What can I say? Diplomacy is. I mean, it's going to be fun to see you. What is my name? I'm sorry. I'm so confused. And my character, Eamon, to see him being in a diplomatic situation. But also I would wish down the line at least for at least one fight, because he's a fighter and that's where his moves are. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. And Alejandro, stars, wishes, stars, oh, bugger me, rose, thorns, wishes, whatever you want to say.
Sure, yeah. So first to the setting. The setting continues to be rich, and I'm excited about it. So I just got a lot of distractions and I can't game right now, but this is a good, fun setting to kind of break that distraction. So stars, first to Sabine. Our characters have a history together, and just kind of us being able to play that up, it feels natural. I think that yes, the loon is I'm really interested in exploring the relationship between the loon and Asinius, in how, like, because I don't think Asinius has much respect for Seisha, given that she's rejected the old ways, and or at least in his mind he has, and that's really that's going to be really interesting to see how that evolves. And then the relationship between the blade and the handle. I think that it's very clear in Asinius's mind that Tuka is the one that should be taking the lead. So I really appreciate Tuka's hesitancy and just total kind of distrust of those claims, and so that's fun. Yeah, this is good. As far as the system goes, I think Otherworld feels so much better now than it did last time. It just feels like it's part of the game rather than kind of it was kludgy. Yeah, so it's a lot nicer.
Good. I hope you'd find that smoother. Yeah, I'd like to give stars to all of you really for engaging with the setting. It's sometimes people get a bit kind of ooh about historical settings, because it's a bit, they feel a bit trickier about making stuff up like you would in a Dungeon World game. But no, I mean, Robbie, I think you've obviously read the setting material, because your background revelations just hit a couple of notes really nicely. So thank you for that. It would have felt odd if they were orcs, but swamp ogres, yeah. Now we have swamp ogres. So thank you for that. And also I think that, yeah, I think this was a commoner who was played very subtly at this point, and I do like the hesitancy. Alejandro, I think, yeah, Asinius is a really interesting character, and I'm not surprised you wanted to bring him back. And I think the sooner we can get him out of Synhamm, the better, because he's only going to get in trouble there, I think. Sabine,
I'm sorry, I just remembered something. I remember there was something lodged in my shoulder that you wanted to bring back.
Oh gosh, yes, there was. Thank you for that. Yes, a small piece of flint that was the physical manifestation of the Synhamm curse. Well remembered, that man. Would you put it in, if you have a chance, put it in the other part of the character keeper, because I had forgotten about that, but it is one to know. Sabine, as always, you know, I just love your role playing, because it's always so nuanced, and we have this this folk hero is a great description. I think there is this growing folk legend, and we have the person and then the legend kind of surrounding it, and quite how that's going to play out, I am very interested to find out. And the relationship between you and Tuka, I think, has developed quite quickly and nicely. I like that. And Sisha, the old woman of the sea, kind of, I think this is a really interesting loon, because I've had loony loons, I've had swivel-eyed loons, but I've not had the kind of inner conflicted loon. And I'm interested to see where that goes in terms of my wishes, Scott. I think there's an interesting potential tension here between Father Humlocutus telling you, you know, just let your faith grow and everything will be fine, and Icenius seeing that actually the old gods tried with you, and maybe that's the root of the trouble. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out, and how you get on in the world at large. But no, thank you for engaging with the setting. I really appreciate it. And I will see you at the same time in the same place, I hope. You know, if for any reason you drop out, let me know, and we'll let the wait list do what it does. But it's a pleasure playing with you, as always. And with that, we will say goodbye to the internet. Goodbye, internet.